What is up, everybody? This is Lyle with No Hippie Trucking and Transportation, and I am out here sitting at the raggediest truck stop out here in Dubois, Pennsylvania. Man, this place is just horrible. I can just see people getting their bumpers tore up all over the place at this truck stop. Anyway, if you have been here before, you know it's kind of one of those truck stops where if you're looking for parking, and you pull down the aisle where all the parking is, if you don't find a spot, you just can't go down a row and leave. You need to actually make a U-turn at the end of that aisle to get back around. So anyway, just not a good setup. No hot water, so couldn't, I guess I could have taken a shower, but I'm just not that strong anymore. So anyway, before we get into the topic, I wanted to talk about, we were just talking about raggedy stuff, and my God, I got to keep it real, man. I know that I'd spoke about one of the things I like most about Prime was that equipment. And don't get me wrong, still think the equipment is outstanding. You know, for the most part, all the trailers are all that. But man, I have been on a rash where I've been getting stuck with all these like 140s trailers, like the real old ones. Man, I had a trailer so old I didn't even know how to operate the reefer unit on it. And there was another one that I got that was so old I didn't even know how to pull the pin to slide the tandems on it. So anyway, this is a dropping hook I'm on my way to out here in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. So hopefully I pick up a trailer that starts with the twos, you know what I'm saying? Another nice load, you know. Just dropped off the Anheuser-Busch load that was paying about $600 for 200 miles. Did a 3-stop load before that ended up paying just under $2,300 with the tension on it over the course of 2 days. And this one is going to be about a day for $1,700. So it's shaping up to be a good week. Now, what I wanted to talk about was, I was watching this video, just another YouTube channel, and, this particular person has quit, multiple jobs, and I think the last couple that he's quit were based on the type of truck he was getting. He just had to have this certain kind of truck. And I'm watching this video, and I'm just thinking, man, this does not make any sense. I mean, why would you quit a job based on your truck and all this different kind? I mean, I was really in my mind thinking that this just, you've got it all wrong. It just doesn't make any sense to do it. And I caught myself, first of all, I would never leave that comment on anybody's page, but it would be something that, I would think about. And it really got me thinking about some of the comments that people have left on my page, where they're saying that, I'm wrong for, whether it's leasing, or I'm wrong, or I should buy a truck, or I should do, just a number of different things. And really what I wanted to kind of talk about is, everybody has their goals and things that they're trying to accomplish. And my goals at 51 years old are a lot different than they would be at, if I was getting in this at 25 years old. If I was getting in this at 25 years old, maybe the right route would be to, go and buy my own truck and do all that kind of stuff and kind of go that route. Basically try to set myself up in that owner-operator type situation with my own authority and, all that kind of stuff. But, at this age, for me, the least amount of exposure that I have, meaning, I don't want to own, first of all, I don't want to own anything at this age. Now, if I was planning on being in this a while, that would kind of change what my plan is. But at this age, I don't think that owning a depreciating asset that could really expose me, well, let's not say expose me, could expose some of the hard-earned money that I've worked for in my life. It could put that in jeopardy. So, when I hear people saying, you're looking at it all wrong. You're not doing it right. You should look at it like this. I don't think that they're necessarily wrong in what they're thinking is, but they're wrong with where I am in my life. If I wanted to buy a truck right now, all I'd have to do is, reorganize some stuff and I'd, go out there and buy one. Wouldn't have to finance it. Wouldn't have to do anything. I could buy it, and I'm not talking about no 25,000, 45,000. I mean, I could go buy a new truck if that's really what I wanted to do, or if that's what made sense. Right now, what makes sense for me is, I've mentioned it in other videos, is just, well, let's kind of rewind. The money that I'm making now, I really only look at that as kind of marking time, or basically, at least the trucking money is just kind of trying to not necessarily stay afloat, because that's giving the wrong impression, but it's really just to keep things kind of moving. Let's put it that way. The money I'm interested in is money that comes outside of trucking. So that would be, whatever. Let's just take real estate would be one that I'm pretty knowledgeable in, and I will be making moves on that coming up. I just put together a plan in my head while I was driving the other day that I think is going to really make sense, and set me and my wife up for what we're looking at doing in the future. So when I'm hearing people say, you know what, you need to do it this way, you need to buy a truck, you need to do this, you need to do that, you know what, nothing wrong with that plan. I think that plan kind of opens me up a little bit more than what I want. Just like I was about to judge this other driver, in my mind. Well, let's not say that I was thinking about judging him. I judged him. And in my mind, I thought, it doesn't make sense, doing it all wrong. In reality, what are his goals? If his goals are to be the, flyest truck driver out there, driving the flyest truck and all that kind of stuff, and that accomplishes his goal, then he's doing it all right. So I think that's something that people need to kind of take into consideration. I realize that everybody that watches my videos don't necessarily watch all of my videos, so they have no idea of kind of what, man, I'm telling you, this is a dangerous place. They don't necessarily know what my end goal is, so it'd be easy to judge it like, owner-operator is where all the money's at. You know what? It might be, but it really doesn't fall in line with my goals. One thing I can tell you is I spent 20 years in mortgages, right? And one thing I always hear in the trucking business is just always, how much money you making? How much money you making? People are quitting and leaving jobs over pennies, or they're basing everything on how much money they make. And one thing that I'll tell you, after 20 years in the mortgage industry, first of all, let's get this out of the way. If you're telling people how much money you make, always tell people how much money you make before taxes, not after taxes. So if you live in, California, and you're telling somebody that you make this much money a month, but you're talking about it after taxes, and you're comparing that with somebody that's in Florida that pays no taxes, you still make the same amount of money. Your tax burden has nothing to do with your gross income. So that's just a little tip. But one thing that I learned being in that business is the people that make the most money aren't always the people that are the most well off. If I was to take the best, or let's say the clients with the highest net worth, and I'm talking excluding people that make, ridiculous amounts of money, but, let's just compare a family or a husband and wife that makes, let's say 75,000, or not 75, let's say 100,000 between them, and compare that to another couple that make almost double that. I would say that almost half the time, the couple that makes less money is further ahead. And part of the reason is that couple is not always, first of all, I found that a lot of people that weren't disciplined, that made a lot of money, ended up spending a higher percentage of their money on stuff that just didn't make sense. So I know I'm kind of going off in a tangent, but what I'm trying to say is it's not always about how much money you make, and a lot of people in trucking try to base everything on that. So let's say you made a whole bunch of money in trucking, and this is something that I'm beginning to realize right now is it's hard to really find a way to actually multiply that money because you don't have the time to do a lot of the research that it would take. So, for example, let's say that somebody made $50,000 a year outside of trucking, and there's a trucker that makes $100,000 a year. The person that's sitting at home on weekends, able to scour the neighborhood and find a good deal on a house or spend time researching stocks or doing stuff like that, a lot of times they're going to do a lot better than the person that's making, the $100,000 a year because you just don't have time to do the research to do it. That's not everybody. I'm just saying it's a struggle that I'm finding, even trying to put this stuff together. One of the things that I man, I'm getting way off topic, but let me just ramble on. One of the things I thought was going to be great about this job was being able to see kind of different, homes across the country and possibly picking up a vacation home or, something like that. And by the way, Oregon is a badass place. I wouldn't mind investing in some stuff out there, but just don't have enough time to do research on it, without having
LJF, you got it on.
without having the time to invest in or invest the time in finding that property or in the right area or different things like that. It just makes it harder to do it. But back to my point, if you look at me and you say I'm doing it all wrong, a lot of times that might be because you're not in the same age bracket. You might be looking at things in a totally different way. You might be in those money grabbing years. Those money grabbing years, that might have been the time for me to, well, I mean, if I was just getting into trucking and I was in my 20s and stuff like that, I probably would have done that. And actually, if I really want to be honest with you, when I first thought about getting into trucking, here's what my initial goal was. And now I think that would have been all wrong, was to get into trucking, go to Prime, hang out at Prime for a year and a half, go buy a truck, uh, do the whole authority thing and stuff like that. And then people are going to say, that's way too early to do it. If you haven't seen KB the trucker, go check him out. He did it in 9 months. And so it can be done. But anyway, that was going to be my goal. Go ahead and do that. And then just kind of run, not necessarily the entire year, but just kind of run maybe during, let's say, I'm really rambling on. Let's say March to November or something like that. I mean, that was kind of what my initial goals were based on some of the figures that my friend that has been in trucking for 24 years had kind of given me. It was something that I thought was doable. My goals started changing when I realized, okay, well, I don't need to actually own a depreciating asset to actually accomplish what I want. I don't need to go through all the stress of, and everything that goes along with having your own authority. So really what I did after rearranging, rearranging the best way to accomplish my goal was, what? Prime lease will be a great way for me to accomplish what I want, give me just enough flexibility without opening myself to exposure. So anyway, I think I got way too off topic on this video, but you know what, if I was to go ahead and sum this entire video up with Some of the people that think that their best way is, or that their way is the best way, there's an old saying that people used to say, or they still say it, I guess. I don't know where it originated from, but there's, what is that damn saying again? It's some stupid shit. There's a million different ways to skin a cat, or something like that. Anyway, that's one, and then the next one is you do you. Anyway, sorry to keep you rambling. I'd like to thank you for stopping by No Hippie Trucking and Transportation. Comment, subscribe, and I'm out.